A very good afternoon to all of you. Welcome to ICRTH Industrial Section for Ecotourism. Thank you to be here, and it's our honor to share with you and present to you with our panel speakers here. So we have the first panel speaker, which is Mr. Andrew Sebastian, Dr. Jens Trahers, and also Dr. Ann Timothy. And we have our section chair, Mr. Sochia, and also myself, Dr. Chong Kimi. Welcome to our panel section. It's my honor to present to you our panel speakers. The first one is Dr. Antimati. He is the Assistant Professor in Faculty of Economic, Business and Tourism, University of Spirit, Croatia. The next panel speaker is Mr. Andrew Sebastian. He is the President, Founders, and also the Chief Executive Officer, Ecotourism and Conservation Society Malaysia, ECOMY Malaysia. Last but not least, we have Dr. Jens, the CEO, Chief Executive Officer of Barbados Tourism Marketing Incorporated in Barbados. Let's welcome. Next, let us look into the agenda of this panel session. We will have our first introduction of panel speakers, Dr. Anton Matis. He will be sharing on the barriers and opportunities for ecotourism developments in the Mediterranean. And next, we would have Mr. Andrew Sebastian. He will be sharing on ecotourism, the key to Malaysia's post-COVID sustainability. Last but not least, we have Dr. Jens. He will be sharing on ecotourism, and we would have a conclusion led by our section chair, and we would have a 10 minutes Q&A section at the end of the section. Now, before we have our panel speakers to present to us, let me introduce you Dr. Anton Matis, our first panel speaker. He is the Assistant Professor, Faculty of Economic, Business and Tourism in University of Spirit, Croatia. He is also an affiliate faculty at the Human Dimensions of the Natural Resources, Colorado State University. He serves as the manager of the Smart Corridor Living Lab and an associate editor of the Journal of Ecotourism. He is a member of the executive committees and also the coordinators of knowledge developments at the International Unions for Conservation of Nature, World Commissions for Protected Areas (TAPAS). Right. So besides, Dr. Matis has extensive experience working as a researcher and also the educator on international projects founded in the Inter-Mediterranean and also the Horizon 2020 program, and as a consultant for national ministries of tourism and international organizations. So without further ado, let us welcome Dr. Antimati in sharing on the barriers and opportunities for ecotourism developments in the Mediterranean. Let's welcome Dr. Ante.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm privileged to be part of the industrial panel session dedicated to ecotourism here at the International Conference on Responsible Tourism and Hospitality. I would just like to briefly introduce myself. My name is Ante Mandic, and I'm an assistant professor of sustainable tourism at the Faculty of Economics, Business and Tourism, University of Split, Croatia. I'm also the affiliated faculty at the Human Dimension of Natural Resource Department, Warner College of Natural Resources. I served as the associate editor of the Journal of Ecotourism and as a coordinator of knowledge development at the IUCN WCPA Tourism and Protected Area Specialist Group. Considering the focus of the current industrial panel session, my presentation today will reflect on barriers and opportunities for ecotourism development in Mediterranean, as the lessons learned in this most vibrant tourism region could create the foundation for tailoring efficient ecotourism development policies globally. Ecotourism is subject to major uncertainties and unprecedented growth in global tourism demand. International tourism arrivals grew to over 1.5 billion in 2019, driven by substantial economic growth and a new volume of outbound markets, particularly from the Asia-Pacific region. With a market share of 51%, Europe and European countries, including France, Spain, and Italy, are the world's major tourism destinations. Within Europe, Mediterranean region holds the share of approximately 21% and recorded the most substantial growth rates. This region was the second least affected region globally, with a 55% decline in tourism arrivals in 2021 compared to the year before. Global tourism demonstrated resilience to short-term regional and long-term large-scale crises, so it's illogical to expect the recovery of tourism growth. However, along with changing demographics, improved connectivity, and technological innovations, the awareness that this growth should be more sustainable and inclusive is growing. Indeed, in many destinations, tourism growth remains economically, socially, and environmentally unbalanced, and the symptoms associated with over-tourism become more and more pronounced. As a society, we are also becoming more aware that sustainability requires, in many cases, so-called radical rethinking of the tourism consumption and production processes, which are currently ingrained in profit-oriented neoliberal politics. Indeed, the pandemic was the major disruptor in the recent history of tourism industry, inspiring both supply and demand changes and innovations. Affected by the current pandemic, travelers have begun to pay greater attention to personal well-being, air quality, and human impacts on the environment, prioritizing domestic travel, staycations and friendcations, and spending time outdoors. They have also developed preferences for active holidays, reluctance toward crowds, and desires to be seen as safe and responsible. The pandemic has also accelerated the transformation of the tourism industry by altering the value chain and the relationship with travelers and with technology as facilitator. For example, Generation Z, often referred to as hyper-connected generation, has developed a strong awareness of the consequences of human behavior, personal health, technology, and human impacts on the environment. What we have also noticed is that the traveling to ecotourism destinations as an antidote to the stress caused by lifestyle and the current pandemic is increasing. Consumers demand responsible travel, knowing their choices could benefit local communities and minimize negative social and environmental impacts while helping conserve the assets. Reports even demonstrated increasing interest in transformative travel. Many European destinations, particularly here on the Mediterranean, including Spain, France, Greece, Italy, and Croatia, along with substantial growth, witness some inherent challenges, and these include pronounced seasonality, a lack of efficient, sustainable tourism development policy planning. Take, for example, Croatia, where approximately 77% of all overnight records are recorded in July and August. Such tourism intensity and visitor concentrations obviously create the opportunity for adverse economic, environmental, and socio-cultural impacts, which are known for decades, but most recently discussed as over-tourism. These destinations experienced extensive tourism revenue dependence, lack of human resources, increase in living expenses, including the disruption of the housing market, gentrification, stage authenticity, the dominance of the Sunset Sand experience conception, but also regional imbalances and failure to address climate change and often suffering deterioration of ecosystems. Mediterranean destinations are still predominantly perceived as sunset sand, while ecotourism and other aspects of nature-based tourism, as well as the cultural and urban tourism, are predominantly seen as niche visitor experiences. Ecotourism is also only in rare cases designated national or destination development conception, while at the same time, Ecotourism destinations, particularly iconic protected areas, are often used in national marketing campaigns to attract visitors and increase national brand awareness. Therefore, to some extent, we are increasing the number of visitors to these fragile destinations, but at the same time, we fail to provide them with the policies and tools which are required to prevent or tackle emerging issues. The consequence is the fact that many ecotourism destinations suffer almost the same challenges as most other Mediterranean destinations, including seasonality of tourism development, continuous growth, severe visitor revenue dependence, and adverse social and environmental impacts. Along with these, there is an increasing list of ecotourism site-specific challenges, including, for example, overcrowding, problematic behavior of protected area users, parking and traffic issues and social distances, interpretation and employment of new technologies, human resources, service quality assurance, health and safety, cooperation with tourism industry, and finally, insufficient financing and conflicts. This figure clearly displays the demand for spending time in parks and outdoor spaces in the leading Mediterranean destinations. What we can see is that the figures have massively increased last 3 years. In some cases, they are reaching even up to 600%. Such increasing demand for spending time in nature, along with the lack of strategic tourism development planning, focus on volume and pronounced seasonality, reflects the current reality and the near future of ecotourism development in this region. This is something we must illuminate in order to start delivering solutions for real-life destination-scale challenges. Recently, in a study published in Journal of Ecotourism, sharply concluded that the progress towards sustainable tourism last 2 decades is relatively marginal, and the positive change will require shifting tourism toward greater sustainability, meaning radical rethinking of the current production and consumption processes. However, is it really rational to expect that this change will happen? And should we abandon the quest for universal solutions for the global tourism industry and start looking for small-scale, feasible, regenerative solutions? Ecotourism fits well in this concept of radical rethinking of consumption and production within tourism, as it is nature-based, but also focuses on conservation, environmental education, sustainability, fair distribution of benefits, ethics and responsibility. These principles also provide the structural framework and the foundation for ecotourism policy planning. And consequently, it also influences policy and marketing related decisions. But the notion of contemporary ecotourism extends beyond this traditional understanding of what ecotourism entails, as it also includes regenerative outcomes of visitor experiences, resilience thinking, sustainable development goals, accessibility, animal justice, and climate change. So to conclude this rather short presentation, I would like to emphasize the opportunities for positive change through the lens of the product, process, and market and organizational innovations. When it comes to the visitor experiences, there is a need to take advantage of the growing interest in sustainable tourism and focus on restoring an ecologically healthy relationship between people and nature, and fostering a fundamental connection between human health, well-being, and spending time in nature. Sustainable recovery must reflect the development of innovative, meaningful, and transformative visitor experiences, taking into the account the information technologies, inclusion and accessibility and co-creation. Referring to process innovation, greater attention should be given to participatory policy planning, strengthening of the value chains, development of small-scale regenerative businesses, and monitoring service quality, visitor satisfaction, and loyalty. Finally, in the context of market and organizational innovation, it's critical to emphasize the need for greater focus on destination stewardship, expanding season by tailoring new visitor segments and creating innovative visitor experiences, but also paying greater attention to domestic tourism. Thank you for your attention. I would like to use this opportunity to draw your attention to the recently published Mediterranean protected areas in the era of over-tourism, and to announce the publication of the Routledge Handbook of Nature-Based Tourism Development. I also want to draw your attention to the Journal of Ecotourism, which is considered to be the leading source of knowledge on ecotourism and nature-based tourism, as well as to announce a call for papers for Tourism Planning and Development Journal, focused on sustainable and resilient nature-based tourism development in the post-pandemic era, which I host with Anna Spenceley and Yu Fei Leung. Thank you for your attention, and if there are any questions, I would be more than happy to address them. Additionally, I'm online here in chat, so if you have any questions, feel free to type in. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Anton Martins, on his wonderful sharing. Right, so with all the figures, I believe that we actually benefit, and also we understand the opportunity from the ecotourism perspective. All right, so now let's us goes to the next sharing section, which is by Mr. Andrew Sebastian. He will be sharing on the ecotourism, the key to Malaysia's post-COVID sustainability. Now, let me introduce you Mr. Andrew Sebastian. He is the president, the founders, and also the chief executive officer of the Ecotourism and Conservation Society Malaysia, ECOMY Malaysia. Right, so he is the accomplished naturalist, environmentalist, and an established certified professional nature and bird guide for 18 years. As you can see in his picture, he loves nature so much, right? So apart from Malaysia, Andrew is actually actively lead the tour in the regions including Sulawesi, Sumatra, and also Babao. So as a law graduate, Andrew has devoted more than 2 decades in the environmental and ecotourism issues through his work with a number of NGOs. He credits his passion for nature to his childhood growing up in the dense forests of the Forest Research Institutes of Malaysia, FRIM. In addition, Andrew has served and initiated numbers of conservation and awareness campaigns, which include the landmark protections of the Royal Belum State Park back in the year 2006. He has also co-founded the Asian Bird Farm Network, which has grown to be one of the largest bird watching events in the world. He also co-founded the Wild Bird Club of Malaysia, WBCM, and Tan Koko Bird Clubs Indonesia. Quite interesting, all right? So he is attributed as a major influencer in the conservation field and is currently the brand ambassador for Leisha. So Andrew is the president and also the CEO of Ecotourism and Conservation Society Malaysia, ECOMY, and is a subject matter expert for Tourism Malaysia for over 12 years right now. Right, so let's us look into and be humble and listen for his experience sharing on the ecotourism in Malaysia perspective. Let's welcome Mr. Andrew Sebastian.
Greetings from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. I'm Andrew J. Sebastian, President and CEO of Ecotourism and Conservation Society Malaysia, and it's my pleasure to present today at the International Conference for Responsible Tourism and Hospitality 2022. Here we go. My presentation will cover very quickly a broad spectrum about what Malaysia is doing or currently is on the path for, in hopes that our recovery post-COVID will focus on ecotourism and maybe in this platform, network and share better how we can all learn from each other at this conference. So let me take you to the next slide. This is a video that I've taken on one of my recent trips, and it's one of the most breathtaking, most difficult, rare wildlife to see here in Malaysia. Let's play the slide.
If you care about bears, you should be aware there are 8 unique species to compare. Some are fairly common, some extremely rare. We have a few bear facts to share. Sun bears love to eat honey and bees. They climb through the trees like chimpanzees. From Southeast Asia, smallest bear of all. Some people say that they look like dogs. We're getting to the end, just about through. Hope you learned a little fact or two. Perhaps we're all a little more aware about the fascinating creatures that we call bears.
Well, that's something to show for ecotourism, wildlife watching. When you go to rainforests or any other natural landscapes, and you find something exciting that makes the trip worthwhile, and you put it on social media, people may want to go visit. Yeah, and that's how ecotourism. That's how ecotourism is developed and created. The interest for it, at least.
If you care.
And what is ecotourism, ladies and gentlemen? I think I'm not going to give a whole lecture on this, but very simply put, it is a trip where you go and enhance the ecotourism products of an area, and that visit actually benefits not just wildlife and the landscape, but benefits local communities, yeah, and enrich experiences for people, and it is sustainable, yeah, ecotourism. Now, there are 34 mega diversity hotspots in the world, and Malaysia is right there on the bottom right, is one of them. We are honored to be one of them. In fact, honored to be one of the 34 to showcase at least 75% of all known biodiversity in the world today. Yeah, so Malaysia, well positioned. Let's see. Comparatively, if you compare Malaysia to some continents and even certain countries that are leaders in terms of ecotourism. Right? So let's compare ourselves to South Africa. Wildcats, Malaysia has 9 species compared to South Africa 10. Yeah, very close, almost near you guys. And Costa Rica 6. Yeah. Of course, all amazing ones in Costa Rica. Primates, we are actually a land of primates, planet of the apes right here. 25 species of primates compared to Africa's 6 and Costa Rica's 4. Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. This is not meant to downplay the amazing stuff in both sites that I'm drawing comparisons to. Yeah. Butterflies, we have 1,300 species. Almost double what we have in South Africa, but not as much as in Costa Rica, yeah, 3,500. Birds, we have comparatively about the same, 873 species currently, and ungulates, we have 19 species. Africa, of course, South Africa takes the cake. They win on that one. And mammals, we have 331 species. Again, this is not a scientific paper. I don't mean to start a scientific discussion or debate about total number of species, but it's just a simple highlight in terms of what's out there, what's known so far, at least from in my perspective. Yeah, everything, it's all good. The value of ecotourism and nature-based tourism, it's reported, it's in 2019, before COVID, 181 billion US in terms of value. This includes in the cross-cutting sectors of AV tourism or bird watching, botanical tourism, hiking and trekking, marine tourism, wildlife tourism. Bird watching, of course, is one of the highest or one of the best, fastest growing subset of ecotourism. And in Malaysia, my organization, EcoMy, estimates that in 2015, 3,150 bird watchers traveled to Malaysia. Only 3,100 traveled to Malaysia, but the 3,000 over visitors generated over 20.3 million ringgit in terms of receipts. Yeah, this makes it a high value traveler. Yeah, and it is something that I think our country, and along with 34 other countries around the world, should or are already doing in terms of focusing in the market in terms of tourism and its industry. Yep. Right. Tourism Malaysia. This is projections of Tourism Malaysia. This is, of course, pre-COVID. Yeah. As you can see, we bring in tourism is a big player in our country. Number 2 earner in 2019, registering over 86 billion ringgit. Yeah, and the projection is going that much in that way before it hit 2020. Yeah. So our country, and along with a lot of all other countries, I would assume that have a thriving tourism industry, this is a pretty good chart to have here. And people are traveling, of course, yeah, even pre and now post-COVID. Yeah. So let's see what happened, of course, in the next slides. Yeah. Today, and I think we all know this, all of us in this conference, we all know this, that a lot of there's been a lot of literature out there pointing towards the transformation of the tourism industry. So post-COVID, and this is a brief from the United Nations, it points to how the tourism sector is now focusing on sustainable tourism. We have tourism leisure offices in Sweden, in fact, telling us, hey, a lot of people are asking, especially in Europe, is Malaysia a sustainable tourism destination? Yeah, that's a tough act to follow. You know, are you a sustainable tourism destination? Yeah. Well, we do have the biodiversity, we do have the hotels, we do have the connection, the good roads, the language, yeah, the product, yeah. But are we truly a sustainable tourism destination? And that is one of the papers that's coming out from the United Nations. The market now, people who are traveling will choose now to go to a site or a destination that is sustainable. Yeah. What other literatures out there? Booking.com reveals 72% of tourists believe you need to make conscious choices. You need to make sustainable travel top of the agenda when you're booking a next holiday. Yeah, so which means a lot of people are thinking about nature places, and while they're thinking about nature and nice places, beaches, rainforests, stuff like that, they're also looking into how environmentally friendly these destinations are, and that's what the market, I think, is demanding from the players or stakeholders. Yeah, it's a good thing. And UNWTO also came out with this projection, again also pointing very nicely, yeah, Europe, Asia Pacific, North America, how the numbers are going higher and higher and higher in terms of nature-based tourism. IUCN and the government, IUCN also in their website, they just published the future of sustainable travel and nature-based tourism. These are pretty interesting times that we live in, especially for people like me and the friends that are involved, and my many colleagues that are involved in ecotourism here in Malaysia and in the region here. Nature-based tourism is on the up and up. And it is a challenge. It's a challenge for us. It's something we have to meet the high standards of making sure as host and making sure as product sellers, promoters, influencers, like I'm an influencer, to go to a place where we know not only benefits local communities, it is sustainable in the sense that it does not harm the environment or the very product that we go to see. Be it the orangutans, be it the proboscis monkeys, elephants, and so on. Now, in Malaysia, we have quite a few destinations, and one of the destinations I'd like to flag as an example is the little island of Langkawi. This is 5 hours north of Kuala Lumpur on the west coast of Peninsular Malaysia. It is a single, it's dubbed to be a single destination. It is trying to be sustainable in the sense that it's also started to have conferences on sustainable island, on sustainable islands. There's already a movement now for plastic bags. There's already a movement or discussions to protect and gazette more of its land base as either geopark or state park or park in that sense, and protected. So they have birds, they have wildlife, they have mammals, over 500 species of butterflies on one tiny island. And of course it is a geopark. And it's given a geopark status. So this is one example of a single destination that's trying to be in sustainable or environmentally friendly. Apart from having a hotel or a 6-star hotel, apart from having an international airport, 6-star hotels and backpacker places to stay, it is also have a large roster of trying to be environmentally or sustainable or dubbed as a sustainable tourism site. In terms of birds, next to the neotropic South America, the Oriental area has the most number of birds in the world. So in terms of bird watching as a sector, Malaysia and Asia is a big, it's high on destinations for bird watchers and bird photographers, putting us on the map. And here are some of the species, some examples of endemic birds and wildlife. The beautiful bird you see there is the Bornean bristlehead, only one of its kind in its family, and only found in the island of Borneo. On the left, these are images taken online. Is the world's largest flower, the Rafflesia. Come to visit us. Come and have a look at this beautiful flower. And of course, at the bottom left is the iconic Bornean orangutan, critically endangered in the wild for reasons we all know, for unsustainable practices and so on. They are critically endangered in the wild, and there is a lot of effort on the way to try to protect them. But most important, we have to protect the landscape and the forests in which they dwell. So to be a sustainable destination, we have to look, countries would have to look at all of this, not just Malaysia. We have to look at all of this, protecting unique products that we have that people will pay to come and see. So these are some of the examples. Malaysia, a fun map of stuff found everywhere. And in a nutshell, ladies and gentlemen, ecotourism, I think, is the key. My plea to Malaysia and our government is put ecotourism number one in terms of its priority post-COVID, because travelers want to see nature. They want to be amongst our beautiful, oldest rainforests in the world, the beautiful mountains, the beautiful coral reefs that we have. So we need to focus. And this is not just a plea to the governments of Malaysia, but it's a plea to governments across the world. Ecotourism. support it. Yeah, we have to reinvent. It's time for us to reinvent, follow the market forces. People want to go to sustainable destinations. People want to know that things are being protected and so on. Sustainable tourism and tourism depends on its natural capital. So intensified logging is no longer a way that we should follow, or a formula should follow. And monocultures are killing off endangered and critically important species that are important for ecotourism. And my last point, ladies and gentlemen, we have to protect our rich natural heritage. We have to invest in sustainable products, and we will attract the world. My plea again, and my comments for the International Conference on Responsible Tourism and Hospitality is that ecotourism, responsible travel, sustainability is all part and parcel of us moving forward post-COVID. And my plea and my note to the world is that go and visit, promote all these beautiful places, pressure governments, stakeholders, industry players to follow higher levels and standards of environmental consciousness. On that note, I'd like to thank the organizers for inviting me. I'm on a tour during this event, but I'm hoped to join you guys live to answer questions from the floor. Thank you very much. My name is Andrew Sebastian, and I hope to see you guys all around. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Andrew Sebastian, for your insightful presentation on the momentums of ecotourism post-COVID-19 from Malaysian perspective. Let us now move to the last but not least part of the session on ecotourism in Barbados, Caribbean, by Dr. Jane Transhart, who is working as a Chief Executive Officer of Barbados Tourism Marketing INC, which is an official national tourism organization of the island nations of Barbados. Dr. Jane, in 2014 was appointed by the government of Thailand, Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar, and China to head a Mekong Tourism Coordinating Office as a Chief Executive Officer for 4 consecutive contract terms and establish a private sector-led regional tourism board destination Mekong. In 2008, he co-founded award-winning digital marketing from Dragon Trail and has led marketing and internet strategy team with the Canadian Tourism Commissions. With a doctoral degree in tourism and hospitality management from the Hong Kong Polytechnic University and an MBA accredited Master Management and Hospitality from the Canal University, Dr. Chen has been widely recognized in tourism and hospitality industry. He is one of the travel industry top 100 rising star by the Travel Agents magazine in 23, which is almost 20 years away. He is also one of the 25 top extraordinary sales and marketing minds in hospitality, in travel in 24 and 25 respectively, and is one of the top extraordinary minds in marketing and hospitality in European travel and hospitality in 2014 as well. He is also recognized as a top most influential travel leader in 2022, which is so recent. He is also served as the second vice chair of United Nations World Tourism Organization affiliated member boards, also an executive board member of Hospitality Sales Marketing Association, is executive board member of International Federation of IT and Travel and Tourism, and was board member of Pacific Asia Travel Association and past chair of PATA China's. Without further ado, the floor is yours, Dr. James. Thank you.
Good afternoon. It's an honor to present at the ICRTH 2022. I'm calling from Barbados in the Caribbean. And let me just share my screen. So it's a pleasure to be here with you and talk to you about ecotourism in Barbados. So what we're looking to do with ecotourism is really to use ecotourism to drive inclusiveness and reposition Barbados. But where is Barbados? So Barbados is in the Caribbean. It's in the southern eastern Caribbean. That means you can see the circle at the bottom right-hand side. So it borders to Grenada, St. Lucia, Martinique, and it's so bordered also to the Atlantic Ocean. That makes it quite unique, actually, because we have two very different coasts. If you see here, there's the east coast that's a lot more rugged, and the west coast that has very calm waters as well. So we have around 288,000 inhabitants, residents, and the island is 430 square feet, and it's flat. Daily temperature is very pleasant, and it always has a nice breeze. There isn't a rainy season, but it does rain in the summer, and the capital is Bridgetown. It's also a unique a UNESCO heritage site that many people don't know. So Barbados is the youngest republic in the world, and you may have heard of Rihanna. You also may have heard that Barbados is the birthplace of rum. And with that, you see over 1,000 rum shops all over the island. And most of these rum shops are actually next to churches. You see churches at every corner as well. And that's when the British came and built the churches, and then always had a rum shop right next to it. So it's quite interesting. It's also a culinary capital of the Caribbean. You can find some very diverse food, and that makes it also very interesting for travelers. And with that also, we're looking to drive more farm to table and organic food tourism experiences too. And with that, it's a great outdoor destination. And with that, you can also plant a tree, which leads me into our topic of ecotourism. So our challenge here is to position Barbados as an all-year balanced tourism destination to drive sustainability, which results in inclusive growth and economic impact. So the end goal is really to reposition Barbados from a beach-only to more than just beach destination. Because right now, a lot of people, when they think about Barbados or the Caribbean, they just think about beaches or cruise. But what makes Barbados so unique from other Caribbean destinations is that on one hand, it has a lot of culture, it has very diverse experiences, but it's also a very safe island. So you can just walk out of your hotel, resort, apartment, walk down the street and you know, experience the culture, go to a rum shop, connect with local people. You can also have a rainforest experience, which many people don't think about when they think about Barbados. So all of that is really driven by these unique, authentic local experiences. And when it comes to sustainability, the key is obviously to protect the assets of the island. Climate change and other factors, you know, are threats to the island, and especially being a small island nation, climate change is even more a threat than to other countries. So establish climate change adaptation and sustainability leadership for Barbados is one of our key priorities to drive tourism development and tourism promotion. We've seen these images where trash is on the beach, and again, that is something that tourists don't want to experience, but also it harms our environment. Food waste is another issue that we see all over the world, and it's something that we also want to tackle here. And then really engaging the residents, making sure that all stakeholders are part of the conversation and that we don't have a backlash that we've seen before COVID-19, where we've seen areas where tourists were not welcomed, and that is obviously not a very good experience. So we want to make sure that we really drive responsible tourism, that people know that they're welcome here, that they're really embraced by the local people, but also that they have responsibilities when they're here to respect the local culture, that they should not use single-use plastic. Actually, Barbados has a policy in place to ban single-use plastic, and use more responsible tourism practices, you know, because consumer trends, they show us that 69%, and this comes from Euromonitor, expect more sustainable travel options. 73%, according to the European Travel Commission, plan to support local businesses. 62%, according to Expedia, are willing to pay more for sustainable trips. And 78%, according to Booking.com, will choose less crowded destination. So that also is another way to really make sure that not the high season, and Barbados is a seasonal destination, is the key, but we're looking to make it an all year round destination, because I personally believe that the low season is the new luxury, because people just want to have experiences that are not with the crowds. And in the low season also, you get better prices and sometimes have whole different experiences. For example, now in Barbados, we just had our Crop Over Festival, which is a carnival, the most amazing festivals I've ever seen, that goes actually quite a few weeks and then ends in the summer with parades and parties and really a lot of local flavor that can be had. And that's right in the summer, in the low season. You know, we also right now just launched the Food and Rum Festival, which is one of the major culinary festivals in the Caribbean. And it's interesting. It's not just a festival where people just go to a high-end gala and have celebrity chefs. No, but we go right into the community. There are even experiences into in a local forest connected with coconut and how that can be infused with rum, and it's a trail. We have experiences with organic farming, and we have local chefs in the community. We even have Barbadians, or how they're called here, Bajans, cook for people in their homes. So it's really an all-inclusive, community-driven festival that just launched end of August, so just a couple of days ago, and will have its peak at the end of October, the last weekend of October. So if you have nothing else to do, just come and visit us in October and experience something very unique. So with that, obviously, we're looking to drive a sustainable tourism strategy, and we believe that it has to start at home within our organization. So we have let's launch what we call our BTMI Brilliance Program. BTMI is the name of our organization, stands for Barbados Tourism Marketing Inc. And then obviously our website is Visit Barbados. So we're known as Visit Barbados, but the organization is BTMI. So our BTMI Brilliance Program. So really to drive a community within our staff that brings us stronger together and really can change the world. And in order to do that, we have now policies in place in our organization that drive single-use plastic reduction, reducing printing, recycling and reusing, living healthy, and supporting the community. Then also, we have partnered with various organizations from Sustainable Travel International, STI, Cornell University with the STAMP program, Green Destination, Travel Foundation, and other ones. And some of these initiatives that we're looking to drive going forward is single-use plastic, food waste, implementing a carbon calculator with STI, carbon offsetting on the island with partners from airlines and other hotel partners, obviously sustainable investment, and also industry workshops to educate the industry what the value of sustainable tourism really is. So there are lots of experiences. So that, again, what I said at the beginning, it's critical for us to make sure that people know the experiences that people can have that really drive sustainability. And we call it actually mindful travel. So mindful travel, as you see the letters scrambled around here, mingled within the destinations, is something that is unique to Barbados. So when you look here, so there, I just wanted to showcase a few of these experiences to see how we're looking to drive ecotourism. So the first one is a Peg Farm. It's a nature reserve, and actually it's an organic farm. And I can tell you, it's the best hamburger I've ever had. It comes right from the farm. The bread is baked locally. The eggs are probably the best eggs I've ever had. And it's all organic, but even the herbs and everything is planted locally there. So it's also a great experience. And even they now started a school right in the middle of the farm to educate kids right from the beginning how to integrate daily lives with sustainability. So again, I think very unique experience, a Peg Farm. The second one is the Sea Turtle Project, to really conserve and help the endangered turtle species on the island. So that's something obviously that is a big thing here, because actually you can surf with the turtles, which is something that is very unique to Barbados. We have marine conservation parks, obviously make sure that the corals and the marine environment is protected, so you can use some amazing diving in Barbados. The waters are crystal clear, but we also need to make sure that we protect that environment. And then finally, I want to kind of take you on a journey to a place called Walker's Reserve that is on the east coast of Barbados. You saw the map earlier on. So the east coast is a more rugged coast, and there's an area called the Scotland District. So that the Scotland District is all forests and it's an ecotourism area. So it's very unique, and it's really a model for climate resilience. So you can obviously connect with nature. You can even camp there and go out there and really just enjoy the nature. You can also observe wildlife, and there's a lot of birding there. And our sentiment analysis, actually, that we're monitoring what people are saying on social media, tells us actually that Barbados is one of the top bird watching destinations in the world. I didn't know that, but also is one of the top, I think Adrian came out #1 destination for nature photography. So there is a lot of unique things there, and sentiment on social media actually confirms that. But what's also unique about Walker's Reserve is that it has also bees. So they have a whole reserve apiary program, Rob. So to really look at also doing research when it comes to bees and honey and beekeeping. And then also there's obviously eco markets. You can actually connect with community chefs. You can buy local from artisans and explore these special tours. So that's just an idea of one experience that really drives ecotourism, but there are many, many more. And obviously I have only limited amount of time. There's an experience called Cocoa Hill Forest, which is a forest where you can really have almost like a rainforest experience. But what they're looking to do at Cocoa Hill Forest is really replant or reforest some of these plants and that have been gone over the years. So with the rum and the sugarcane plantations, they deforested many of these islands plants. And so now at Cocoa Hill Forest, they bring that back and also focus on coconuts. So really driving coconut afforestation. So that's it to give you a quick insight in terms of what we're doing in Barbados to really drive sustainability. Ecotourism is a big component here. We're looking to showcase small businesses with our new Bayesian Experiences collection, a very inclusive project, which really drives to showcase these experiences from small businesses, but also individuals, to really drive an inclusive environment where everyone can contribute to the mission of tourism. Tourism is the biggest earner and economic contributor in Barbados, with almost 40% of GDP contribution. So everyone in some way or another is touching tourism, and that's something that became very evident during the COVID-19 pandemic. So again, I think now, as we're recovering from COVID-19, it's a great opportunity to, as people say, build back better, but also rethink how we look at tourism. And I think sustainability is a vital part, and the consumer is looking for it, as research showed us earlier. With that, I thank you very much for listening. And again, it's been an honor to be part of this conference. And I wish everyone all the success with this conference and in driving tourism in a sustainable way in your various destinations. Thank you very much. I'm Dr. Jens Trainhardt from Barbados. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jane, for your interesting presentation about ecotourism in Barbados. Ladies and gentlemen, as we are moving toward the end of the sessions, Dr. Kimmy Jones and myself as session chairs would like to thank you to all speakers, Dr. Antes, Dr. James, and Mr. Andrew, who bring together many interesting aspects and up-to-date information about ecotourism in the regions of Mediterranean, Caribbean, and Asians. On behalf of the conference chairs, we would like to thank you for all your participations and time and the efforts. Just a few concluding note from us that we observe from the key message from Dr. Antes, who bring very sharply on the major challenges of ecotourism development at the destination levels that have many practical implications for us to pay attention, and as well as the opportunity for positive changes in ecotourism. In the meantime, Mr. Andrew also shared with us various interesting discussion about ecotourism from the Malaysian perspective, including but not limited to the values of ecotourism and the key trends and drivers around ecotourism, and the example of single destination and the abundance of flora and fauna that ecotourism need to depend upon. Last but not least, Dr. James also covered very impressive information on consumer trends around ecotourism and sustainability initiatives. Once again, we would like to thank you individually for spending time with us, and we do hope this session is beneficial for you, for each of us, to better position ecotourism for the sake of development and conservation efforts. Thank you very much again. We would like to have a few notes as a final announcement for all the participants and the delegates. Please be informed that the session recording will be made available on the conference website. And the second point is that certificate of the attendant will be issued to the participants and delegates who complete the post-conference surveys. Please do so after a week's time. The point number 3 is that we would like to inform you that ICRTH 2022 and some information, please visit the website we just mentioned. And also for any inquiry for the conference, please contact directly to these emails. We would like to thank you again for your times and the attentions. We do hope to meet you again in the conference in ICRTH 2023. Thank you. Please have a nice day.